Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting, April 18th, 2011. It is about 3 or 4 minutes after 7. We'll begin this meeting with the salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mrs. Pullen, can you take the roll, please?
Mr. Zepka? Mrs. Wisłowski?
Present.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Snipes?
Here. Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to begin our meeting this evening. First item on agenda, certificate of appropriateness for 11 Hillside Lane. This is a new home construction. Mr. Gray?
Yes. As mentioned, this is a certificate of appropriateness to build a new home on the existing barn, which dates back to 1923. The new home will be located at 11 Hillside Lane. The new home will be sided with Main Street beige with colonial white trim. The new home and original barn will be roofed with black shakewood shingles. Construction has been approved by the HARB board at its meeting on October 4th, 2011. The name of the applicant is Harry Stoop. The board is asked to consider this certificate of appropriateness.
Okay. All right, comments or questions from board members? Mrs. Wisłowski?
None?
Mr. Snipes?
So this is, are the applicants here?
Yes.
Yes. I just, so this is new construction adding.
Can you come to, I'm sorry, can you come to the microphone? Just, thank you.
Just, why don't you give us a little background about the project?
A little background about
The project, what you're
the
hoping to
project.
do.
Okay, I purchased a project in the property in '04, wanting to build in the village of Fallsington for quite a long time. In fact, I married Robert Irwin's middle daughter, and so we've been here for a long, long time. And anyway, so I finally purchased it, and my wife wouldn't let me build, and she passed away. So I wanted to continue on the building. So that it's my desire and my dream to have a house in the village. And so I bought the property, and we developed it up with all the proper surveying and all the rules and regulations of the zoning and the historic board and all that. And it's just for myself. I'm alone now, so it's going to be a small cottage, and I'm kind of sticking it to the older garage that's there to make it look a little bigger.
Okay.
So that's the existing small barn is on the property and you're building
Yes, sir.
on construction onto it. Okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
Mr. Dents?
Sir, before you walk away.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Dents is going to speak first, but I have a question for you.
Okay.
I have no questions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ms. Wisłowski?
First of all, I loved Robert Irwin. He was our first township manager, and I was on the citizens panel that voted to hire him. I was just a young bride at that time, but he never disappointed us. He was fabulous.
He was a wonderful man.
Absolutely. So you married into a wonderful family.
I certainly did. Couldn't pick any better.
And I'm ready to make a motion to approve your project.
Oh, well, thank you.
You chose Fallsington, that's where I live, and I love it.
Yeah, I don't have any comments or questions. Is any public comment needed? I see no hands.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, it's probably useful to point out that the Historic Review Board has approved this, all voting
Right,
members.
unanimously, right. Yes, thank you. Okay, Ms. Wisłowski, you wanted to make a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the project on Hillside Lane.
Okay, motion's made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda, item number 2, is an authorization of advertisement to amend part of our zoning code. Mr. Gray?
Yes. Chapter 209, Section 92 requires the zoning officer to report the results of investigations related to any complaints of violations of Chapter 209 to the complainant, the township manager, and the board of supervisors. The township is asked to consider authorizing advertisement to repeal this section of Chapter 209.
Okay, and this was a recommendation made, Mr. Bennett actually is in favor of this, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, it's something, it's basically standard procedure. Our policy here is that if someone complains makes a complaint about zoning, our staff does get back to them if they can. Sometimes people make anonymous complaints and we can't get back to them. But there's been some trouble with this particular ordinance and it being abused in certain cases. So we're looking to just repeal this one part of it. And this is, again, authorization to advertise. We'd have to come back and vote on this to actually make it an official ordinance, change the ordinance. Comments or questions from board members? Mrs. Wisłowski?
None.
Mr. Snipes?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dents?
No.
And I have none. Okay. Is there a motion to just authorize advertisement?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Again, we'll come back to this to vote on it or debate it formally at a later meeting. Okay, motion's made and seconded to advertise. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Item 3 is consider authorizing requests for proposals for auditor appointment for the 2011 fiscal audit. Mr. Gray.
Yes, a request for proposal, or RFP, has been prepared to send out to various local audit firms for the audit of the township's financial records for the year January 1st, 2011 through December 31st, 2011. The township is requesting that quotes be returned by November 14th, 2011, so that an agenda item awarding the contract can be brought to the board's attention at a future meeting. The board is asked to consider this RFP.
Okay. All right, I notice, well, I'll open up for board comments or questions. Mrs. Wisłowski?
None?
Mr. Snipes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have a list of firms that this will be sent to. Are these the only firms that are being notified of this, or how do we broadcast this? What's the process for?
There are several firms we send them to. We could also send them to other firms in case they're interested as well. So,
I think these typically are the firms that either have worked for us in the past or always seem to put in or always seem to be interested.
yeah, they work in area local governments, other municipalities. So they're well known throughout the area.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dents?
No questions.
No, and I just noticing, I know we put it in here, we've asked them not just for a 1-year cost, but also second or third year. So possibly we can get a firm to come in here and maybe get a lower price over 3 years than if they just came in 1 year at a time, 1 year at a time. So, okay. All right, again, just authorizing advertisement. Any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay, is there a motion to authorize the advertisement of the request for proposals?
Yes, so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next item on our agenda is considering purchase of AEDs for our police department. These are the portable devices that officers can use if there's someone who's had in cardiac arrest. We have, this building has a few, one right behind this door and some other places as well. Mr. Gray, you want to give
Yes.
some detail?
The police department is requesting the purchase of 4 AEDs for the department. The new units would replace older units that are approximately 12 years old. 2 of the older units are no longer in use, and the other 2 are ready to start to go out of use. These units stay in the patrol vehicles if in the event a patrolman would need to use it. This item is included in the 2011 budget. 3 quotes were secured. The lowest net cost is $9,864 from Physio Control. The board is asked to consider the purchase of these items for the police department for $9,864 from Physio Control.
Okay. Okay. All right, comments or questions from board members? Mrs. Wisłowski?
None.
Mr. Snipes?
No, we should move ahead and purchase them.
Yeah. Mr. Dents?
None.
No, and I have none. These are becoming standard pieces of equipment for, well, in buildings like this one, and obviously for patrol cars, so it's important that we make sure we have enough of them. Comments or questions from the public? I see no hands. All right, then, so we're looking to purchase 4 AEDs in the amount of $9,864 from Physio Control. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Mrs. Pullen?
Mrs. Wisłowski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Snipes?
Yes.
Okay. Item 5, consider resolution certifying Peter Gray as a person empowered to act for and on behalf of Falls Township in any business with Fred Bean's family of dealerships, New Holland Auto Group, and sign any necessary documentation. This is a slightly unusual thing we have to do. Not really quite sure why Fred Beans is asking us to do this. But apparently, what we're theorizing and talking with the solicitor is that at some point in the past, Fred Beans may have had some kind of deal with the local government go wrong. Someone signed for vehicles that actually wasn't maybe allowed to, and so now it looks like they're asking every government entity that purchases vehicles from them to certify by resolution that the person actually signing for it is empowered to sign for it. Mr. Gray, what's the vehicle that we're purchasing?
This is a 2011 Ford truck Super Duty F550.
Okay, this is for the Public Works.
Yes, it is.
All right, and this is something we have approved already, actually, right? Back
Yes,
in
the
March?
board approved it on March 15th.
Okay. All right, so this is a vehicle we've agreed to purchase. We're getting it through CoStars, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Fred Beans has got basically has the vehicle, and we just have to certify that, we understand that Mr. Gray is purchasing it, and it's not going to be become a toy for his kids or something on his front lawn. So comments or questions from board members? Mrs. Wisłowski?
Only that I wouldn't let Mr. Gray manage the money in my sugar bowl.
Okay, that's nice. Mr. Snipes?
So this is just for this one purchase, or is this for a time period, or?
This would just be for this purchase.
So every time we might have a business interaction with them, we'll have to do this kind of paperwork?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. No other questions.
Mr. Dents?
No, that was the same question I had.
Okay. Any public comment needed? See no hands. All right. Is there a motion then to approve the resolution naming Pete Gray as the official designee for Falls Township in dealings with Fred Bean's family dealerships?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I
I'm
may,
sorry,
that would be resolution number 2011-19.
11-19. All right. Well, we approve the resolution.
I would like to have my no vote accompanied by the statement that I do not relish delegating my responsibility to someone in whom I have no confidence.
Okay, item 6 on our agenda is consider a resolution authorizing advertisement of sale of surplus equipment. We do this periodically. Older equipment that our employees here have decided they really kind of has passed the usefulness to the township. Perhaps we could, sell it, get a little bit of money out of it. We've done this several times, actually, usually a couple times a year. A lot of times we'll do it. What, Mr. Gray, want to go into more detail on this?
Sure. The Board of Supervisors is requested to consider 3 township vehicles declared as surplus equipment and to be sold at a public auction by use of sealed bids in as-is condition. The Finance Director will advertise in the local newspapers. The Finance Director will also set aside a date, time, and place when the vehicles may be inspected by potential bidders. And also the Finance Director will establish rules and policies for the conduct of the sealed bid auction. The 3 vehicles that are being requested are a 1995 Ford E150 van, a 1996 Ford Bronco, and a 2002 Chevy Impala. The board is asked to consider this resolution at this time.
Okay. Comments or questions from board members? Mrs. Wisłowski?
None.
Mr. Snipes?
No.
Mr. Dents?
The only place we advertise this is in the Courier Times.
Yes, at this time, yes.
I think we should look into finding another place to advertise this besides just the paper. We end up selling this stuff for scrap money. And there has to be some value to these cars.
Make a motion, I'll second it.
The question is where?
Might be able to go on-
Would be
on
interested
Penn
if they knew it was open.
On what?
Sorry, Mr.
Might be able to be put up on PennBid, which would go out to everyone then.
What is pen bid, Mr.
PennBid is the electronic bidding service that the state is using now for the solicitation of bids on public works projects. You may be able to also use it for the sale of property, I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, so I think we're, I don't know if we have to take a vote to direct Mr. Gray to look into alternative, or, the Courier and other places. He understands our desire, so, okay.
Anything else, Mr. Dents?
That's it.
All right, just the mileage on some of these vehicles, just so you get an idea. The Ford van, 1995 Ford van, 104,000 miles. 96 Ford Bronco, 121,000 miles. 2002 Chevy Impala, 146 basically 1,000 miles. So they've done their duty for us. Let's put it that way. All right, is there a motion to authorize advertisement of this resolution?
What's the number of the resolution?
20?
I'm sorry, consider resolution. I apologize. Look at the other one. Consider authorizing, resolution. Is it 20? Is that what it was? Yeah, 1120.
1120.
Oh, public comment? Yeah, okay, sure. Open. Is there a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
If you could add something to that they don't sell these vehicles for less than scrap value of the vehicles, because they're getting, what, $500 a car?
At
$600 a car?
Maybe,
At the
yeah.
junkyard. So if someone offers $200, forget it. We'll just take them right down to the junkyard and scrap them. It's not worth selling them.
I think we'd have to okay the bids, wouldn't we, Mr. Clark? So if we're not happy with the bids, we can turn it
Okay.
down.
Just a note, though, if it's
Yeah.
less than scrap value, don't even entertain it.
Not even worth it.
Right.
All right, thank you.
My
Thank you.
daily driver has more miles than this highest mile vehicle here.
Any other comments or questions? I see no hands. Is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, then, we're looking at Resolution 11-20, authorizing the advertisement of these vehicles for putting out to bid, basically, for auction.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2011-20, directing an auction for surplus property.
All right, motion made. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, item number 7 is consider authorization of advertisement to amend part of our code involving records. Several years ago, the township did a pretty comprehensive review of its records ordinance. When there is an accident or a vehicle that needs to be towed in Falls Township, if the Falls Township Police are involved, there is a wrecker who is called through the police department to come and service that vehicle or vehicles. If the driver already has an idea, if they have AAA and they know someone who can tow their car, then they're free to do that. But in many cases, people don't have firsthand knowledge of someone who does that kind of work, or they might not have a service like AAA, and so if that's the case, the police department can provide that or will make the call for them. Because these records then operate through the township in a manner of speaking, it does give us some right to have some say over how they can operate. And so there are basic changes to made to this law, to this ordinance, which has been worked on through Lieutenant Airy of our police department, as well as the solicitor's office. This is advertising only. We're not approving this evening. After we advertise it, it'll become public, so anybody who's interested in seeing the changes, and the changes are all underlined, can come out and take a look at it. And for the most part, the changes deal with documentation that has to be turned in to verify that the records have insurance, which obviously we want them to have, as well as the yards where they take the vehicles, some of the equipment they have to carry, and there's a pretty decent redrawing of the section of the ordinance that deals with any complaints that people have about being overcharged or that kind of thing, and how that's handled. So again, authorizing advertisement only. I believe the police department's already contacted the wreckers who are currently working in the township, and they're been made aware that there's going to be a change with this, and they'll have a chance to have a meeting, I think, with Lieutenant Airy sometime in the near future, correct?
Yes, it's Thursday, October 20th, 11 a.m.
Okay, so just a couple days from now, the wreckers will get a chance to meet with him and have a discussion with him, and they'll get the chance to look at this, and then we can vote on this in the future. Any questions about the authorization of advertisement of this amendment to the records ordinance? Mrs. Wisłowski.
I have a statement to make. I have been around long enough to see the position of being on that records list sold. I was with another supervisor one night, and we followed a vehicle. And the fellow that ended up getting the business was taking Christmas presents to a supervisor that sat on this board. And what I would like to say is those people in Falls Township who complained and remembered what a crooked operation that was and the controversy that took place at that time should come to the meeting when this is advertised for award or adoption or whatever this board plans to do. Stay alert.
Mr. Snipes?
No questions, just a comment that I'm glad that, that the township, who's going to be meeting with the people?
Ted Neri from the police department, I believe
Yeah,
also.
I'm glad we're
someone
doing that
from-
because I'd like to know that they have input in this and they understand what's happening.
Right.
So, thank you.
Mr. Dents?
No, no questions or comments.
A comment I have, in terms of being on the wreckers list, the towers list, essentially, there are some qualifications towers have to meet in order to be on the list. They have to be able to handle different kinds of vehicles. They have to be, basically, have to be insured. They have to have a yard in Falls Township. And I believe, essentially, that's almost it. And so anybody can essentially be on it.
And there's a distinction between a regular tow and a heavy tow.
Right.
And if you're going to be on the heavy towers list, you have to prove that you have the equipment. Unlike certain municipalities which award an exclusive contract, we do not. The list is open to anyone who can meet those qualifications and gets their application in December. As long as they meet all the qualifications, they are on the list, and it's a rotating list where they are called. It's not like anybody gets a particular day. It's person one on the list gets the first call of the day, person two gets the second
And that's
call.
done by the county, I want to add,
That's done
too.
by
That's not
county
done by
dispatch
local.
radio, that's
Right.
correct.
How many towers do you have on the list right now, Mr.
9.
Gray? There are 9 towers on the list right now. Okay. All right. So,
It is incorrect to pretend that anybody can get on the list. That is like the war between the North and the South. It gets vicious, and there is a limited number of people that belong on the list that can apply and be approved. And that's why there is such greed involved and dishonesty. I personally have witnessed it, and I'm telling the people in Falls Township to stay alert, because I have heard some of the horror stories about towers who were not as qualified but favored by the politicians who would tow an expensive car to their place, and it was difficult to get that car to the repair person of the owner's choice. So just stay alert, people. The ones who are at home watching the tape will remember if they're as old as I am.
all right. So, any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay. Is there a motion then to authorize advertisement of this amendment to the records ordinance?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. All right, item number 8, consider fire and burglar monitoring alarm quotes. We are actually going to be tabling this evening. Reason being that the fire marshal has asked, and I think we dealt with this at the previous meeting, that the current company that we have a service contract through is not meeting our needs, essentially, and so we've sort of ended that contract with them. We've gone out to acquire some quotes from other companies that do similar kind of work. And some of the quotes have come in. We're still doing a little bit of work trying to clarify some of these quotes in terms of prices and conditions that we would be sort of agreeing into, tying into. And so I think we're just really needs some more time to gather this information and get it all squared away before we can vote on this. We can certainly take a look at this at our first meeting in November. And so this time I'll entertain a motion to table this, and we can come back to it on November 1st.
I'll make the motion to table.
Okay. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
You have to
Motion made
table
and
to a
seconded.
date certain,
I already-
Mr. Dents.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Motion made and seconded.
Your
All in favor?
advice leaves a great deal to
Aye.
be desired.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we'll table
Is it
that.
November 1st?
Correct. All right, public comments, our next item on the agenda. Mr. Gray? Okay. All right, Michael Slack is first name on the list.
Yeah, good evening. What I'm here about is a petition I got together with the neighbors surrounding Eleanor Roosevelt. I'd like to read it to you guys, and you can take a look at the signatures. I have a few other things to say. The surrounding neighbors of Eleanor Roosevelt excuse me, School are requesting the Pennsbury School District not be allowed to connect Midway Drive to Walton Drive. There's no need for the two roads to connect. For the first 50 years, there was no connection, and it did not adversely affect the time it takes for emergency vehicles to respond in the neighborhood. Downside of having Walton Drive and Midway Drive connect is you are now making a through street, causing children of the neighborhood to cross over what could be a busy street to get to the playground. You're also creating a 300-yard straightaway for cars passing from one side of the school to the other. In previous years, there's been problems with teenagers driving into the school parking lot late at night, tires squealing on their exit. There would be nothing to slow them down. This would allow cars to possibly get an excessive rate of speed before exiting the parking lot. The current configuration has a 90-degree turn and exit, which forces the cars to slow down. The neighbors of Eleanor Roosevelt have learned to live with the rude parents who block their driveways at dismissal, the traffic from parents still using Midway entrance to pick up the children. Why should we be forced to endure speeding traffic 24 hours a day? If Pennsbury is allowed to connect Midway Drive to Walton Drive, the residents will have to endure speeding cars going from one side of the neighborhood to the other. Speeding cars are going to become a safety issue when young children want to go to the playground after school and on weekends. A child is going to get hurt since they're now forcing children to cross a street to get to the playground. By allowing this to happen, we feel you're creating a liability issue for Falls Township, and the obvious solution is not to allow the connection between Walton and Midway to happen. What Pennsbury should do is create two distinct parking lots with no connection. By doing this, the children leaving from the school and the children from the neighborhood could have access to the playground without crossing traffic lane. So please do the right thing before an innocent child gets hurt.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think all the points you made are very good ones. Mr. Sullivan, just thinking about the Eleanor Roosevelt design, because I know this was an issue I know that Mr. Denson brought up.
If I may, at the zoning meeting when this came up, and I'm an Eleanor Roosevelt parent, this was the biggest concern of all the residents that were at that meeting about that cut-through. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a full-time access. It's going to be gated off on weekends, and it's going to be one way from Midway to Bernard. So there won't be cars, or no, the other way. You won't be allowed to enter from Midway unless you're an emergency vehicle. The cars are only allowed to come in through Bernard to get through into that parking lot.
During school, during drop-off time?
During school and drop-offs. The only time that would be open would be either at night when there's an event going on or something like that. It's not supposed to be open for cut-through traffic on weekends or at night on a regular basis.
I don't believe that's going to happen. I believe the gate's
We're going to make sure it happens. I assure you it's going to happen.
They've already agreed to it, so they have to.
The problem is that you already told me that you would actually talk to, I guess, the guy over at the plant, or the project manager, about the dust problem that we have.
Correct.
And they said that they were going to spray the street, use a street cleaner. They did it for a week, and that was it. From that point on, we still had the problem with the dust. They told you what they were going to do. They did what they wanted to do.
We were out there several times and made sure that they were doing it. I mean, if it's not happening now, we'll make sure it is happening.
It's not happening.
Okay, well, we'll make sure it's happening tomorrow, because I was out there and we were ready to shut them down.
Yeah,
with your emails that you and I corresponded with.
Right.
And they absolutely assured me that they were doing it. I saw them out there doing it because I would stake them out. I'd sit right in the entrance to Midway Drive and watch them and make sure that they were scrubbing that street.
Oh, I've seen them doing
it. Clean it in the morning and the afternoon.
And they've done it 3-4 times tops.
We'll make sure they're doing it again starting tomorrow.
On the side of my property that you can see out into the street, and I'd go and I'd check the tape when I came home.
All right.
3-4 times maximum, that's it.
We'll absolutely make sure it's starting tomorrow that they're doing it every day, right, Jim?
Anytime it doesn't happen, just give us a call.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel the gate.
I would like to commend you for coming. I took a ride out there myself, and my belief is that the suggestion that they separate the parking lots and make it a no-access thing so that cars can't get in there. I'm not in favor of assigning police to to do something after we think we're correcting a problem. We create it. And if it's not broken the way it has been, then I don't think we should fix it.
Well,
we should do what the
was
residents
broken. That's
want.
the reason they are
the
fixing
reason
it.
they're fixing
The
it,
problem
so
was the bus loops. I mean, they have to have an entrance on one side. That was their whole point of doing it. That was their reason they wanted to do it.
Bus
which-
loops on the other side is because
Right,
of the
well, the-
wider street.
Right, it made sense that they have access to the school all on one side as opposed to both sides now, which is why it's going to be one way from Bernard to Midway. So cars won't be entering, like I said, from Midway.
So are you going to put trendles up so they can only go one way? Because
They told us they're going to gate it on weekends,
Sign's
which we
not
can
gonna
certainly
work.
make sure they're going to gate it.
Because you have an example of a one-way sign over at the tech school, where they have a one-way road, and I've been through there. People go both directions. So you can put a one-way sign up there, and they're going to do what the hell they want. So I think what you got to do is make
It's absolutely not going to be a cut-through street.
It's going to turn into a cut-through street, and I'm the guy that's going to have to deal with it, because I live right there on the corner.
Right. Well, as one of
To
the,
do is do the right thing for the kids that are going to have to cross that street. Make 2 parking lots, don't have it go through at all. There's no need for it. 50 years ago, they tried to do this, and they had a petition, and it was stopped. I went around the neighborhood, I talked to all the neighbors. I've got some original neighbors that have signed this list, and they said, 50 years ago they tried it, we stopped it, you have to do it again.
Okay.
There's more cars now than there were 50 years ago.
Sure.
So what's the use? I don't see any reason for it. The only thing it's good for is convenient for the people that work at the school. So why should we be inconvenienced just for a few?
the petition you were going to give to us, or are you going to give to the school, or both?
Well, I'd like to give it to you. I haven't made a copy of the signature sheet, so
I mean, I would recommend you give it to both, quite frankly. I'll send the school.
can do
district. I mean, I would be.
my problem is that I haven't had a lot of luck talking.
We can copy it tonight and give you your copy.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Mr. Gray can photocopy it. Well,
You know, when I contacted the school with an email, I'm not sure who the superintendent is.
It's Dr.
but,
McHugh.
Yeah, he thought that the dust problem was, well, he didn't see it.
Yeah, I saw your email with him.
He didn't see it, and I
when I
forwarded
got
you a copy,
involved.
yeah,
so I
and
didn't feel that I'd get anywhere with them. I was hoping
Tom, just so you know,
that here
Tom,
I'd get something done.
right, Tom Gillette is Director of Plant, what was it called, plant management, something like that, what his title is, but he's the one who actually is in charge of things like overseeing the construction. So if you wanted to talk to someone very directly, he, you know, Pensbury works
what I'd
for
like to do is
Pensbury. But,
Have the connection stopped.
well, that's.
I mean, it's wintertime now. I'm not out in my backyard. I couldn't use it for the whole month of August and the early parts of September because of the dust. I've got a pool there on the corner. You should see the amount of dirt that's in the pool from the dust created from the construction. The cars that are on the street, every time it rains, you can see a dirt marsh around the car from the
Yeah, I believe you.
construction.
I
So-
believe you. And I, like I said, I know Mr. Sullivan's been out there. I know Mr. Denson's
What do
been
we
out
have to
there,
do
so-
to get this connection stopped, is what I'm asking.
Well, the plan they put in has been approved with a connection through it, but also with the
Well,
gates that we've been talking about. And
One way.
they have to put the gates in. It's not an option for them. If they don't put the gates in, the plan is, they're in violation of the law, basically.
Well-
So that's,
Every neighbor I talked to was unaware, totally unaware of this connection. They couldn't believe it was going through. So, I mean, I know it was put into the paper, but I don't read the paper except Sunday. I don't have time during the week to read it. I've got too many things going on.
with their neighbor.
So, this might be a little bit too late, but there's something that's got to be done. This has got to be stopped.
If
When
you
we
don't
went into the
stop
zone-
it now,
When we went
you're
into
going to
this,
get it.
the zoning meeting, which I think you should have been notified for, there were a lot of neighbors at that meeting, and at that meeting, it was just a cut-through street. There was no gates, there was no one-way, and it was after all the concerns, the exact concerns you brought up and everybody else. Most of the neighbors, I'll admit, were from Walton Drive in that area. And every one of these concerns were, you know, that's how they dealt with it, was making it one-way, gating it in 2 points. They were going to gate it back by the school where the entrance to the loops are off of Walton, and right at Midway there was their solution.
Okay. So this, you
And
know,
who's going to be closing the gate?
Don't know.
it should probably, the janitor's
Going to
probably at the
cost
school.
money.
Yeah, the janitors at the school are going to do it. That's part of their job. You know, just like it is for everything else, if they're shutting down gates at different elementary schools, with my kids' school or
They
somebody
got
else's
gates
school.
over at Pensbury High School, and they're left open all the time, too. And I know that's what's going to happen.
Well, like I said, we'll certainly we're going to take the petition, we'll make a photocopy for you, we can send it to the school district if you want, or you can take it yourself, it's up to
what
you.
you're telling me that this is,
But, well, we're
nothing can
obviously
be done,
gonna-
it's too late.
Well, we have to communicate with them first off and find out, let them know this is a concern, it continues to be a concern, and find out what they can do about it to make sure that
What do I have to do to
you're-
get this done?
No,
I'm
you're
in
doing it right
favor of communicating with the school district and voicing displeasure, and you certainly have my support on that. I don't know how many other votes you'll get, but I think you're right. I went out there and I looked, and I wouldn't want it near my home.
So, I mean, I think what you're doing right now is an important step. You're giving it to us. We're going to communicate with Pennsbury. This is a serious concern, and we want to make sure that they can make you happy and make us happy that they're going to meet this problem and make sure it doesn't become a problem. But as of right now, obviously, we can't pass an ordinance to, stop them from building it because the plan's been approved already.
I'm going to make a motion that we notify Pennsbury of our displeasure of their intent because it will jeopardize the safety of the children and it will annoy the homeowners who've been there forever.
So, like I said, if you want to give, you have to give to Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray will photocopy it for you. Would you like a copy back right now?
Wait.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Gray, you make a couple.
Yeah, I'll second the motion that we
Thank
can
you,
notify
Mr.
the
Dent.
school district and express our displeasure.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any public comment needed? Have to have public comment?
Can I ask just one question?
Sure.
Is your concern that the cars might be going two ways? Is the one-way solution something that's acceptable to you and the neighbors, or you don't like that either?
No.
How about for
not at all.
emergency vehicles? You don't think it should be used for emergency vehicles even?
I've lived there for 18 years. There's never been a problem with an emergency vehicle being able to get to a home when they had to get there. The reason that people use the emergency vehicle as an excuse is because the real reason doesn't sound good enough. So if you say you have to use an emergency vehicle, and that's why they're doing it, they're using it as an excuse because the real one doesn't sound nice, like it's convenient for the school workers. If they were to put that on the website, people would be up in arms. But you say emergency vehicles, it sounds better.
Okay.
So that's bogus.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Slack. Andy Dell?
Make sure a copy of the letter goes to all the board members.
Gentlemen, I was down at the boat ramp or heading towards a boat ramp today. Have we ever decided on that section of road that's the surface of the moon out there? Whose is it?
It's Waste Management's.
It is Waste Management's
Yes.
road? Okay. I just wasn't sure because I didn't know if we were going to start fixing that or...
They've been told very clearly that if they don't fix it very soon, they're going to start getting cited.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure who actually owned the road, so we finally determined it's Waste
When did we
Management.
establish that? Recently, right?
It's the most recent surveys that we were able to get, and Mr. Sullivan's review of all the documents, and Waste Management agrees.
Terrific.
Last week, later last week, I think it was.
The other question is Tyburn Road. When is that going to be open? Do you have any idea?
End of the year, before the end of the year.
Is that what they're
Just
saying?
actually talked today to the representative from PennDOT and asked him about a lot of the roads that were in flux. And Tyburn is supposed to be done before January 1st.
And the small bridge on New Falls Road?
New Falls Road, October 28th.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
And in fact, thank you, Mr. Gray. In fact, today is 2 months exactly, because that project started on August 18th. And it was supposed to be a 2-month project, so today's is the 2 months, so another 10 days, basically. And then Bordentown Road, I think we're looking more toward like February or March.
That's what I'd heard, February on that. The railroad part of Tyburn Road, that part of the bridge, that's not going to be done by the end of the year, is it?
What he told me, I don't believe so, no, but what he told me was that basically the work on Tyburn Road, I think everything up till there, they've got it sort of...
All the bridges?
Right, by the end of the year.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Stole a little by my thunder. That was from my board comment there, Mr. Dell. I'll repeat it. Quinn Kelly and Lindsay Martier Kelly and Bill Reese. Sorry, didn't see that other name there.
That was it? We get all dressed up in a suit for that?
Hi, good evening. Bill Reese, Director of Parks and Rec. I'm very pleased tonight to have two of our Park Board members here. It's Quinn Kelly and Lindsay Martyr Kelly. We're here to talk about the annual Children's Halloween Party coming up this Saturday, October 22nd. It'll be from 1 to 3 on the grounds of Three Arches under the big white tent. And Quinn and Lindsay will take it from here. Thank you.
This year, we're having a Halloween costume contest like we do every year, but this year we are offering a prize, a gift certificate to Friendly's. We're also asking people to decorate their strollers, and there will be a prize offered for the best stroller. And we're doing a decorate your own scarecrow contest also, in addition to everything that we do every year. The winner of the scarecrow contest will get to have their scarecrow featured at Snipes Farm this season.
Yes, so all you have to do is just, if you have an idea of some, of what you want to do for the scarecrow, all you have to do is like bring some supplies to make your own scarecrow. I think that's pretty much it.
In addition to the new activities, we're also going to have Mad Science again. There'll be a DJ. We ask everyone to come in costume because there is the contest, and there will be games and crafts there for the kids who come.
Yeah, and there's also prizes are awarded for like the prettiest, the scariest, the funniest costume. So everyone will get a ribbon, and there'll be the cash prize. It'll be a Friendly's gift.
Friendly's gift card.
Yeah, there's a gift certificate. Yeah. A gift certificate for Friendly's.
Okay. And what are the ages for, is it
2 to 10 years old.
Yeah, okay.
2 to 10?
It's 2 to 10, but then there's different age groups
Right, yeah,
for
right.
the contest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 to 10.
Right. Any questions or?
What did you say the time was for the?
1 to 3.
event?
1 to 3 at Three Arches.
And there's the gift shops open now too.
Okay. And that's on this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the gift shop opens Thursday.
Excuse me. Also, I just got one more announcement from Mr. Clark. I believe Otto the Clown, the Blue Man, will make an appearance there, so we're hoping Mr. Clark can stop over, even if it's just 15 minutes. He will make any balloon you want, sir. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your work. Okay, Dr. Wisłowski?
I will confine most of my comments to the board comment period, but I do want to react to the things that are in the minutes, and I'll do that during the minutes part of this. But I do want to say early in this meeting that I have an email from the Director of Research and Policy Development of the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. And I'm going to share 2 short paragraphs. I got a number of papers and I have a plan of action, but it addresses my inability to get financial records and the idiotic decision to assign the township manager to decide if or not this elected official has the right to see how money that she brought into the township is being invested. And that's the crux of the problem. Now, I went back searching for when I first made the request in writing. I had been making it verbally, but that didn't impress anybody. And my father always said, if you want to teach a mule something, first you have to get his attention, so you whack him on the head with a 2x4. And I put my request in writing, and I still couldn't teach the mule anything. So I finally had to resort to asking for help from on high. I was advised that there is no individual who has more right to see the township finance records than an elected supervisor. And certainly, township engineer, forgive me, Mr. Sullivan, I want to tell you how comprehensive your report was. I learn a lot when I read them. But the township solicitor, who's a carpetbagger from another township, is here telling this elected official that she can't have township records. And that is stupid. And it got quite a few laughs in Harrisburg, and that's only going to be round one. So I'm going to read the email that I got yesterday, and it says, Dorothy, this email is a follow-up to our conversation this morning where we discussed the township records that you had requested as a supervisor and have been denied access. Under Section 607 of the Second-Class Township Code, the Board of Supervisors is charged with the general governance of the township, among other things, to ensure sound fiscal management and to secure the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the township. As such, with very few exceptions, township records, including financial documents, must be accessible to all of the township supervisors elected to office. And that's as much as I'm going to share now. I got a number of suggestions and documents about how to proceed. And I'm going to suggest right now that Mr. Gray get me those documents that I have requested in writing, and don't pretend I got them, because I wouldn't be wasting my breath.
You did get them.
Mr. Gray,
you
if they told you to say that this building should be burned down tonight, you would go and do it because you're such a jellyfish. Now, don't try to cross swords with me. I know you, and you are useless as far as I am concerned, because our solicitor writes every word that you say and write, and we had our legal fees go up by $125,000 or $150,000 last week because we have a manager without a portfolio. Now, it might be a joke to these three people who sit here and make fools out of the taxpayers of Falls Township, but I can tell you it isn't funny. And at the end, he who laughs last laughs best. Now, I had by innuendo, because these gutless wonders don't bother to say
Okay, thank you. Your
names.
5 minutes is up.
Yes, well, he'll shut down the meeting, but he won't be able to shut me down, so tune in.
Gray.
Please, miss, don't interrupt me while I am speaking.
Believe me, I'm doing you
Please.
a favor.
I'll be quiet
I'm
while
doing you a
you
favor.
interrupt me. Now,
Gray.
I am going to finish this at the end. And incidentally, they don't even know what date this meeting is. Do
I
you know that I got an
apologize.
agenda saying this is October 19th? I looked at my day timer and I thought, golly, I'm sure it's the 18th.
Mine says the 18th.
Yes, there were two versions that came out.
Okay.
Mr. Ray can't even know the date of the meeting.
Mr. Gray, I apologize for the ignorant comments that were thrown your way.
Mr. Harvey, you are the ignorant one on this
No,
board, and the
actually-
public despises you.
Actually-
And they tell me you destroy their kids. You're such a poor teacher.
Thank
So
you.
don't get into an argument with me, because you're going to lose.
Mr. Gray, just so the public is clear on this, all the documentation that was asked for in written form by Ms. Kozlowski, I believe it was in July, was sent to two addresses of hers in August. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I brought what I got.
One of the addresses was in Florida, one of the addresses was in Falsington. Is that correct?
Yes.
The SEI quarterly reports that Mrs. Kozlowski made such a big deal about, which she claims she never got, were those specific reports requested on that written documentation from July?
I believe they were.
I have
Everything that was
here
requested
what
was
you
received.
sent me. You might believe they were, but your belief is warped. You didn't send them.
Yes.
And I have witnesses to what I got in both states. And I should tell the Courier-Times that she should mention at least that I have heart attacks. I'm going to publish all the hospitalizations I've had. I was not down in Florida vacationing. I was deathly ill, and I'm lucky to be alive.
Mr. Gray.
And incidentally,
Thank you very much for all.
my vision is very bad. I want to know if the gentleman, is that fellow in the light shirt here in the second thing, because I have macular degeneration, I cannot see. Are you the financial advisor for Tullytown? Thank you. I do not wish you to
yes.
leave. I want to make an appointment with you,
you
and I
may
want
do
to
that on your own
establish
time.
when you and I first talked to each other. That was
not
right
our
after
time.
Harvey implied
For any other
that I was trying to get you
comment?
the investment.
public comment.
But he's gutless. He wouldn't say it so that you could sue him.
So, can't sue me if it's true, Mrs. Wisłowski.
Yes, yes, Mr. Harvey.
On to item
You're
number
known
10,
for your integrity.
which is the minutes.
Oh, boy, I get to talk again.
September 20th, 2011. Looking at the minutes from that meeting. Comments or questions regarding the minutes? Ms. Wisłowski, you were absent at that meeting. Mr. Snipes, comments or questions regarding September 20th?
No, excellent minutes once again, Mrs. Pullen, thank you.
Mr. Dents?
No.
And I have none. Is there a motion to accept the minutes from September 20th as presented?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Why did we get them so late?
October 4th, 2011. Comments or questions regarding the minutes as presented? Mrs. Wisłowski?
Gee, you just love to call on me first, so then you can go ahead and lie about what I said
I'll
in
take
your
that as your
answer.
comment. Mr.
Start
Snipes?
calling on your other people.
Mr. Snipes?
No, no comments. Excellent minutes once again.
Mr. Dents? And I have none. Is there a motion to accept the
No,
minutes as presented?
I have minutes. I have comments on
I
them.
asked you for
Second.
comments, and you decided...
Mr. Harvey, don't do this
All in
because you're
favor?
going to
Aye.
lose.
Opposed?
Once again, he's
Thank you.
depriving me of my right to represent my constituents. These minutes are so screwed up, they're a
2011.
disgrace.
Engineer's
And
report?
I wouldn't be surprised if the solicitor edits them because he's making enough money to do all those little menial jobs. But we'll find out when we get them under oath and do depositions.
Comments or questions regarding the engineer's report? This is the September 2011 engineering report dated October 14th, 2011. Mrs. Wisłowski?
Gee, I get to go first again, and nobody can recognize that that is not the democratic way
The
to
questions
handle a
regarding the
meeting.
engineer's report, Mrs. Wisłowski. Comments
Mr.
or
Harvey?
questions? We're trying to stay on message
I'm-
here, Mrs. Wisłowski.
Mr.
Complain
Har-
about wasted money, and here you are complaining about all kinds of nonsense and wasting our time while
It's
the solicitor's
nonsense
getting
because you
paid.
got your hand in the
Is it
cookie jar and you
solicitors?
found out that I know.
Is it the solicitor getting paid for all this time that you absorb with
I don't know,
making
what are you
personal
paying him
attacks?
because you stopped that 50,000 a
Personal tax.
year, and then you gave it back to him because you guys meet with him secretly every
Personal
Tuesday.
attacks on Mr.
Every Tuesday. Mr. Sullivan, I would like to address your engineer's report if this ignorant person will be quiet and honor my right to speak
You
at
may
this
speak.
meeting.
Mrs. Wisłowski, go ahead.
Mr. Harvey, no one made you emperor of this township, and if you knew how much the people despise you,
This is the
you would
engineer's
have a
report.
few manners.
This is the engineer's report. Comments,
Mr.
please.
Sullivan, I want to tell you that when I get a report from you, I could be in Florida or I could be on Mars, but I would understand everything that you are communicating to us, and for that, I am deeply grateful. And if you will recall, back when you worked for Shore Diploma, I wasn't very happy with some of the things that were going on. But I am proud to say and happy to say that I view you in a much different light now that you are with another company and are producing reports like this for your board members. I thank you. You're the only professional who does it.
Mr. Snipes.
Yes, Mr. Sullivan. Could you give us some comments on where we are with the 2010 road program?
2010 road program is still in the punch list phase. They've restored all of the landscaping areas that had to be taken care of, and we believe grass is growing well. If not, certainly contact our office and let me know. The only items left that are of significance on the punch list are some puddling issues on some of the streets.
And in 2011, I know this year's road program, the number of trees that needed to be taken down, we've talked about this before, and residents contacted me wondering about the replanting of trees. Were they sent a list that they could choose from? Has that already been done, or is that to be done?
That is to be done. I've asked a couple times our arborist to give me a list of trees. I don't have it yet. I will continue to task him to give me that so we can get it out to the residents.
Okay. I did have some requests from residents about that. So that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Dents?
No questions or comments.
Okay, and regarding, I know we talked a little bit about before, Mr. Slack's complaint, which we've had, I think it was over the summer even came up, about the dirt coming off the vehicles that are coming off of Midway. I'm not sure what phase of, if there's still that much dirt out there.
There is.
So do we have people out there regularly looking at that?
We have people out there on a daily basis. I don't think they're using the Midway access as much as they were earlier in the project. They've moved the access to the Walton Street side.
All right. Well, let's make sure that obviously, no matter what street they're on, that they're controlling the dirt. I mean, it's been relatively dry for a while now, or the first time in a while. So, but let's make sure they're controlling that.
Absolutely.
And if they're not, then we shut them down.
Yep.
Okay. I don't have anything else regarding your report. Motion to accept the engineer's report as presented.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Mrs. Kozlowski, seconded by Mr. Snipes.
Yes, sure.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Bill list is for October 18th, 2011. Total bill for this month, $1,907,552.27. Of that, about $768,000 is payroll. Another $218,000 is health insurance, as well as some of the other items. For example, the road program. I think it was about $300,000 for the road program. About $19,000 for street lights. $18,000 for fuel, summer camp supply, the elevator, $17,000, the Ford pickup truck that we just, I think, talked about today, $36,000, believe the legal, $357,000 for general asphalt for the road program. I believe Mr. Clark came in around, I believe, $22,000. About as much as we spend on fuel and electricity. All right. Comments or questions regarding bill list? Mrs. Kozlowski.
I'm going to vote no for all of the reasons that I've stated at each of the meetings. These bills are not separated so that I can vote for the wholesome good things that are happening here in Falls Township with our money. But they're not separated when we make costly mistakes. One of the mistakes was the boat ramp. I find out that we are paying $500 a month for a telephone down there, something we don't need and the taxpayers should not have to pay. And then I take a look at the Biles Island plans, and there's a marina scheduled for there. We spent over $1 million for the boat ramp, but they won't tell the public the truth that it can't be used. There are potholes big enough to sail a boat on the access road, and that is a disgrace. And it was something that we didn't need to do, particularly when our police pension fund is short-funded. And that's one of the things I want to address in conjunction with my vote on these bills. I want Mr. Gray to indicate to me when this room is available for a meeting with some of the citizens who are concerned about the things I said, which went unreported last meeting, but they watched the tape. And we also are going to invite some of the police who are concerned about what's happening with their pension fund. And sir, you sitting there that you handle Tullytown's money, Mr. Dents can verify that I showed him the names of the 5 financial advisors to whom I spoke. You were not one of them, and I want you to verify when I had my first conversation with you, because I phoned Ed Armstrong, who's on Town Council, the day after the meeting when this man, and I say that in quotes, suggested that I was only interested in the way the money was being spent because I was trying to bring you in. But he didn't have the guts to say your name, so that went kind of doctored in the minutes. The minutes are a disgrace.
This is the bill list we're talking about.
I know.
Not the minutes.
But they're all tied together, so don't silence
we're not
me.
gonna be-
I am told you have no more authority than I do, so
Well,
be quiet.
I told you that's an idiot.
Now, I want to know when this meeting hall is available, and I want to know before I leave here tonight. So please, tend to that, sir. Do one thing for this
All right,
supervisor.
enough.
Oh, Mr. Harvey, be
Snipes,
quiet. You're the
comments or
mule that I
questions?
should whack on the head with a
Try
2x4.
Try it sometime. Go ahead, Mr. Snipes. This is just in
I'm
case you
afraid I
forgot,
hurt
Mr.
you.
Snipes, this is the bill list.
Yes, I'm remembering
thank
it's the bill list. I just want to thank Mrs. Rukoff and the financial staff for the excellent job they do. The township is in excellent financial condition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dents?
No comments or questions.
Okay.
Bill list.
Just a couple of comments. We don't pay $500 a month for a phone. The Verizon line, which has to be run out to the area near the boat ramp, is for 2 reasons. Number 1, so that people could pay for boat passes by credit card, and also for an emergency phone, because that area does not get great cell phone reception. And we think it's a pretty good idea if we're going to have people down there, and the cameras as well, excuse me, and also security cameras. If we're going to have people down there boating, it's a good idea to have an emergency phone, and we need a phone line for that. The $500 is actually paying for the placing of the line. It has to be trenched, has to be run out there by Verizon.
If you can afford a boat, you can afford. We built an over $1 million ramp for 60 people who signed up, and now we're paying $500 a month for the telephone. They could go to Walmart and buy a
Actually,
phone for $20.
And if you were just listening,
It's almost 500.
listening, you
It's
would
on.
have, if you were listening,
I listen.
you
I
would have
listen.
heard me say
but
that we
you
don't
bore
get,
me because you lie so much.
don't get cell phone reception down there. So you can buy a phone at Walmart if you want to. It's probably not going to work.
We don't need to supply phones to them.
Mr. Gray, regarding the police pension, which came up last time, is our pension in catastrophic trouble, or is our entire police pension going to collapse, or are we turning into Greece and Ireland?
No, the pension plan is performing at or above benchmarks.
All right, thank
What's
you.
the rate of return for the $11 million that we've invested?
For what month?
Well, I've been asking for the quarterly reports, 12 pieces of paper
Just,
for the last 3 years.
Pick a month, Mr. Gray.
Let's say inception to date, 4.66% as of August 30th.
4.66%, and that's been the performance for the last 3 years?
Inception to date, no.
Oh, I'm going to invite you to my meeting when I have it here. We'll teach you something.
He said inception to date.
Year to date, August 30th is 0.48%.
Okay.
24.8%.
Point.
20, no,
He said 0.48%.
I heard what he said. I wanted it clarified.
It's about what people get in a
This
savings
is the
account.
comic hour.
Yeah, well.
This is the comic hour in Falls
All right,
Township. It
so-
goes over the heads of the people who should pay attention.
Motion to approve the bills as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
No.
Mrs. Wislowski? Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Snipes?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Okay. Manager comment, Mr. Gray?
Yes, just one item tonight. Township received a letter from Doug Maloney dated October 17th concerning the conditional use application for CSC Sugar. He is requesting a 30-day extension for the applicant. The board is asked to approve this 30-day extension.
Okay, 30-day extension for CSC Sugar. Is there a motion to grant the extension?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, up to board comment. Mr. Dents?
I have no comment tonight.
Mr. Snipes?
No comment tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mrs. Wisłowski?
Mr. Dents, I have a question. Would you please verify that I did name 5 individuals who were financial advisors and identified them, and this gentleman from Tullytown was not part of that list? Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. It's correct. Please make the minutes reflect that. Now, your name's Schilling. I don't know your first name, but Ed Armstrong and two of the Tullytown councilmen sang your praises. And I would like to talk with you now, but I wanted to announce it and wait until after tonight's meeting, because I didn't want the liars to say that you and I have been conspiring secretly. They have that perfected. I don't do that. Now, I have a thing that I want to give you tonight, sir. I have my grandson's college-bound fund, and I've heard enough already from Tullytown to know that I want to give you that to handle for me. I'm going to give you the statement tonight. I also would like to have you come to a meeting that I shall call and discuss the finances after I have an opportunity to show you the things I did while I was vacationing in sunny Florida for all those months, when it couldn't be said that I had 2 heart attacks and was in the hospital. And in fact, I'm at this meeting tonight after having had 3 tests at St. Mary's Hospital today. I have to go back again on Thursday. But I want to make that clear so that they don't think that I'm just tiptoeing through the daisies and neglecting my work. I do more work as a single supervisor on this panel than my adversaries do. I can promise you that. So let them counter the work and the study that I have done. I'll be anxious to see them do that. We have a problem because we do not have intelligent management of our money. We don't pay attention to our budgets. Our budget for legal has gone way over the top. When we did the contracts for waste management, and I did 2 of those, and there wasn't one board member who was involved in that. They're spending money that I brought in, and I will have the documentation for that. But I'm angry about the way the money's being wasted. And I think that the public needs to take a good, long, hard look, and they will understand why I vote no on all the invoices. And then the third agreement that was negotiated, that was done by 2 lawyers. Well, you know, my feeling is that what are 5,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean? And my answer to that is a good start. Because these 2 lawyers copied my agreement and then paraded it as theirs, and it was laundered through waste management. Kupperman got, I think, $150,000. I'll tell you that amount to the penny. And Mr. Clark got about $50,000. And I'd hate to tell you what waste management thought of their brilliance, because it certainly wasn't what one would expect to hand such a job to. But they didn't want to make it look like the legal fees were high. They kept trying to say that Moskowitz has, there were all kinds of litigation. I'm doing a study on the litigation. It's very revealing. You see, they say stuff here that they get away with because no one challenges them. And they even set me up on a phony slander suit, and I prevailed on that one because I sued the lawyer that represented me, and I had to sign an agreement that I wouldn't divulge how much they paid me, or I'd have to give the money back. So every attempt that they've made to try to destroy the Wisłowski name has failed, and it's going to fail big time. And I don't want to go to the school board. I'm debating that very, very seriously because I like Florida. And I have an 89-year-old sister down there that I'd like to spend at least a couple of years with before God calls her home. Now, I'm going to thank you, Mr. Dell, because you did manage to get a document. I challenged you at the last meeting. And I also want to say, very unashamed, that you ran against me in 2005. I think you are the best candidate in this race, and I certainly intend to vote for you. You know more than the other candidates, and let them laugh about it, because politics is always a moving study. And I can tell you that after looking you over and realizing I've never seen a vicious bone in your body like these guys up here managed to do. No, and the cackling in the back, that's de Blasio, I'm sure. Anyhow, the identity thief, she stole my identity. We'll talk about that too. Now, I'm going to just be silent now because great things are going to be coming when I start filling out these forms. I want those documents, Mr. Gray, and I will pick them up tomorrow morning, and I want the dates that I can have this room for a meeting. So you have something to do at last if Magpie will stop whispering in your ear. Mr. Clark doesn't let Mr. Gray think. That's why he's not capable of it.
Okay, thank you for those nice words. Just a couple things to remind people about Halloween party that a few of our volunteers were here earlier about. It's this Saturday at 3 Arches from 1 to 3. There are contests for Best Stroller Contest, Best Costume Contest, Best Scarecrow Contest, and some good prizes. So come on out, bring your kids, ages 2 to 10. Again, road work, just mentioning New Falls Road, the bridge is supposed to be open. I spoke with PennDOT today, October 28th, about 10 days from now, it should be open. Tyburn Road should be open most of the way up until the railroad bridge by the first of the year. Bordentown Road, we're looking more toward February. And just finally, on behalf of the board, I want to extend a note of sympathy to Mr. Sullivan for the passing of his father a few weeks ago. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?